Good morning to all of you. So today in our meditation lecture, this is the plan. We will be starting with a small summary of what we did last time. Remember, we could not practice that mindfulness on the mental state. So we will be doing a small practice session to show you how you can do that meditation. And after that, we will have our quiz, which is to the very end of this session. And then the break. Then we will move on to, after the break, we will move on to the mindfulness on the mental objects, the last level. So out of the 4 levels, we have done the mindfulness on the body to some extent, and then mindfulness on the feelings to some extent. And I expect you to practice at home based on the recordings. And last time we covered the theory part, the conceptual part of how to become mindful of the mental states. Okay, let us start with the summary now. Let me share the screen. Okay, we were discussing about 8 different mental states that our mind can take. 4 of them we considered as ordinary states, and other 4 were called higher states. What were the names of the ordinary states? There was one called hostile state, which includes conditions like anger and irritation, sorrow, that means sadness. Even sadness goes into this hostile state. Anything we dislike. So when we develop a feeling towards something, a dislike, then we call it a hostile state. So being aware whether your mental state at this moment is a hostile state or non-hostile. Remember, this is when we do the meditation, this will be viewed as a binary decision. We ask ourselves, you can ask yourself, is my mental state hostile now or non-hostile? Or with hostility or no hostility at the moment. So ask a binary question like that from yourself when you do the meditation. Then what is the other one? Deluded, where we are unaware of the mental state and its causes. Then we call it deluded. Then distracted state, opposite of that was contracted state. So we check the binary decision. Is the mind in distracted state or contracted? Distracted means doing too much thinking, overthinking. Contracted means too lazy to generate the thoughts, like sleepiness. Then 4th one was lustful, which is the state where the mind will be going after the gratification of sensual desires, like going after the color you like, or the sounds you like, and smell you like. Likewise, the mind is with lust. So again, it's a binary. Check. You ask yourself: is my mind is it lustful now, or non-lustful? So although there are 4 states, when we check, there will be 8 conditions: hostile, non-hostile, deluded, non-deluded, distracted or contracted, lustful or non-lustful. Higher states, we decided that we will not discuss immediately. We will be discussing later under hindrances. There was one state called great state, great mind, unsurpassable mind. These are related to what we call absorption levels, normally called samadhi levels. Great mind, unsurpassable mind, concentrated mind, and liberated mind. We will have a different discussion on them. So today, we will do a small practice on some of these states. Then you may remember that part we could not discuss last time is this part. What are the causes for a mental state to arise? And how does it arise and how does it vanish or fade away? So understanding of the full causes and becoming mindful of the mental state with that full understanding of the causes, what did we call it? We call mindfulness contemplation. So we can contemplate further about the causes and effects. Well, the mental state originates due to these 4 main causes, among other causes, of course. There are 4 main causes. Mind should be there, and the mind and matter should be present first in order to generate a mental state. It's obvious. Without the mind, a mental state is not possible. And mind normally operates on the matter or combines with the matter to generate a mental state. I will highlight that part, the matter part, when we discuss the next level of mindfulness, which is the mindfulness of mental objects. What else? A previous volition is also contributing. Volitions are willful acts, you know. Certain previous willful act would have contributed to this arising of a mental state. But we also know that any volition, whether it's mental volition or whether it is verbal volition or whether it is a physical volition, all of them are driven by certain mental factors, such subtle mental factors such as craving and ignorance. These two, craving and ignorance, are so subtle and present in the mind that we don't even notice them when we start to meditate. But as you develop meditation, you will find you become more and more aware of those factors as well. So main contributing factors are 4. Craving plus ignorance are subtle mental factors inside the mind that drive volitions. Volitions will drive the mind over matter in order to generate a particular state of the mind. Hope it is clear. Once again, like earlier times, you can send questions over the chat, or you can ask by voice. You can interrupt at any time. Okay, let's look at this more closely. We are now discussing how a mental state will arise and vanish. Take an example, I suppose a mental state called hostile state. That means anger or sorrow arising in your mind. I think you have already experienced many times. And also, you know, it vanishes. It does not remain indefinitely. That anger will pass away. So we have experienced that mental state arising and vanishing. And for a mental state to arise, we know the mind must be present. mind plus matter must be present, and then a previous volition, willful thought, will be driving the mind, and the bottom level we will have the factors like craving and ignorance. Here I am putting the two together because they are certain mental elements behind the scene, but they are having a lot of driving force to force the volitions to happen. A volition will be behind generating the mind over matter, and the mind and matter will be behind generating a particular state that prevail in the mind for a short time. Okay, with this awareness, if the anger arises, when the anger arises, if you are aware of these causes, you are knowledgeable that this anger arising is due to such and such factors, that needs practice. That is what we do in the contemplation. Okay, so that's how it arises. Remember the three levels: craving, ignorance at one level, volitions at the second level, mind and matter at the third level, generating the mental state. Then when that anger vanishes, it does not happen due to no reason. How come? How does an anger state of the mind vanish? One possibility is that the mind itself will drop in the sense it will vanish because it's happening too fast. Mind is coming up and vanishing in a very speedy manner. Second is that the volition which drove, which was behind this mind and the matter may have changed. That means willfully you might have set your thoughts on a different thing, not that matter which caused the anger. So when the volition dies or a new volition arises, the previous mental state may vanish or pass away. So you can see when these causes are absent, or when they die, die down, the particular mental state will pass away. Okay. So each one of them, when they are absent, mental state can't remain. When the causes are absent, the effect, which is the mental state, cannot remain, and therefore it will pass away or vanish. Hope that logic is clear to you. This is the same thing, the rising part, craving plus ignorance, combined with volitions, combined with mind and matter, generates either hostile state or non-hostile state, or the lustful state or non-lustful state. Likewise, all the states, even the concentration states, which we call absorption states, the samadhi states, they are also generated the same way, generated due to causes. And when the causes vanish or causes become absent, mental state cannot continue, cannot remain. Okay, so each one of these causes, when it is absent, mental state will pass. That state will pass, a new state will arise. Okay, for example, if the bottom one, the craving plus ignorance is not present, then the mental state will vanish and a new mental state can't even arise because the driving force is not there. But supposing the volition which caused the arousal of the mental state dies, but craving and ignorance still remain in the mind, then a new volition will take place and a new mental state will arise. Suppose the mind will vanish, while the volitional force is still there. With the same volitional force, new mind will generate with the same mental state. So likewise, you can understand that at each level, when each level is removed, for example, when this is removed, without removing these two, then due to the force of the same volition, a similar mind plus matter will arise, but the mental state will prevail. Same mental state will prevail in that mind as well. But supposing mind plus matter is also vanished, and volitional force is also not there, but only the craving is there, a new mental state will be generated by the same procedure which we have drawn here. Similar procedure will activate to generate a new mental state again, because the craving and ignorance is there. And suppose you remove the craving and ignorance also from the mind, the driving force for volitions are not there. Therefore, no new mental state will arise. So those are the no new mental state means worldly states. There are other states which we did not discuss here. Such states can arise when craving and ignorance is not present. Okay, so this will give you an idea of how they generate and how they vanish. And this happens so fast, isn't it? Anger might suddenly come and prevail for a noticeable time and vanish. But within that prevailing period, although we consider it as prevailing, the mind, the consciousness disappear and reappear, again disappear and reappear, again disappear and reappear at a very fast rate, so that we don't even notice that unless we calm down the mind through meditations, we cannot even notice. So remember these arising factors and the way that it is passing away. Are there any questions up to that point? Because this is the part we will be doing, we'll be using for the contemplation part of mindfulness. Since this is not an alien theory, isn't it? It's happening right now throughout the day in our minds. We sometimes feel sadness. Sadness will arise, which is a hostile state, and that state will vanish. And sometimes we become very lustful. We want to listen to music, for example, and that driving mental state, lustful state will arise, and after some time it will pass away. When it passes away, it is paving way to a new mental state to arise under new volitions. So since we are subjected to this arising and passing away of mental state continuously from our birth up to now, it happens so often, and so you are very familiar. Only thing unfamiliar would be the names we give to the mental state and our ability to identify the present mental state. That's the one we want to practice in the meditation. Okay. I was explaining again, hoping that questions might be there. It seems it's okay. No questions, so we can move on. So we'll quickly summarize what are the steps to follow when doing this meditation, and after that we will do it. Okay, first we should bring the awareness to the heart to capture the present moment mental state. Then we have to capture the mental state, which is an internal mental state, and identify it by its name. like, is it hostile or non-hostile? Is it lustful or non-lustful? Likewise, identify it by the name. Then identify it as an internal mental state, because you have direct insight to that now. Then become aware of the presence of similar or dissimilar mental state externally in other people's mind at this same moment. Of course, it is with inferential understanding, because you don't have direct insight to that. But you can infer that similar to this mental state that you are having internally, other minds, other people's mind or other living beings' minds are having some other either similar or dissimilar mental state right now at this moment. Because all minds of living beings are state machines, changing state continuously due to new excitations or new inputs coming. The sixth step is become aware of the existence that mental states are present internally as well as externally. So your own mental state and others' mental states, put them all together, identify them as all mental states, whether internal or external, at the same moment. That will lead you to realize that mental states are omnipresent, widespread, natural phenomena in all the minds of living beings. So omnipresence of mental states in all living beings can be contemplated. After that, you focus again to yourself, your own mental state, and closely examine arising and passing away of that mental state with full knowledge of its causes. Then realization that others' mental states also arise and pass away due to same kind of causes. So this cause-effect relationship for the mental states are again omnipresent, widespread. It is present in everyone's mind. Finally, when you understand that they arise and pass away and none of them can remain in your mind, none of the mental state can remain, then you will be able to realize that this phenomena called mental states are all impermanent. There is no permanent such state. Those are the 10 steps in this meditation. Shall we quickly summarize before we move on to the meditation? Bring the awareness to the heart, then capture the internal mental state and name it. Then with the direct insight, identify it as internal. Then with the inferential understanding, become aware that there are mental states in other minds. Then whether it's internal or external, combine everything to understand mental states are general phenomena, natural phenomena, and that's widespread and omnipresent in all minds. And then contemplate on arising and passing away with the causes, and leading to realization that mental states are natural phenomena, but they are impermanent. So that is the part which we are going to do now. Any questions before we move on to try it? Okay. Right. So we'll do it for 10 minutes in very short manner. But 10 minutes is not enough when you do it yourself at home, but this is just to guide you. Right? Okay. You can prepare yourself for the meditation. Take a suitable posture, and then eyes closed or half closed. First become aware, where am I? I am right here in this room. Then visualize your body posture. Here I am. This is the posture I am taking now. Okay, then slowly focus the attention to your heart. Think of the heart. Forget about the rest of the body. Let go of everything else. Feel the mind. Feel the mind. The thought process is happening right now. Thought process is happening there. Okay, you can even exercise the thought process. Well, you can try to remember something which you liked very much. For example, a scenery. A particular scenery, a landscape that you like very much. Try to remember. You are exercising your thought process, giving it a task. Let it vividly visualize that scenery, the colors there, and the sounds, the light level, all that you experienced, you can call back now. Feel that you are there, right there in that landscape now. Okay, focusing at the heart again, while those thoughts are happening, suddenly interrupt it and identify what is the mental state now. What is the state of the mind right now? You will find it is lustful, searching for pleasure, with color or sound or the light or smell in this scenery. So name it. The mental state right now is lustful while thinking about this landscape which I like so much. Need not be landscape, it could be anything you like. Okay, so capture quickly, name it as the lustful state. With direct insight, you are sure it is lustful now. Okay, so keep thinking about the landscape while from time to time becoming aware this is the lustful state of the mind. Lustful state of the mind. This is the lustful state of the mind. Interrupt the thinking process from time to time to identify the mental state and name it. Okay, now slowly become aware that there are other minds everywhere. Human minds, the minds of animals, minds of other living beings, doing thinking process right now in parallel to this mind. Identify there are similar lustful mental states in those minds right now at this moment. And there are dissimilar mental states also, other mental states in some other minds. So visualize infinite number of minds in all directions, everywhere, going through thinking processes and having a particular mental state at this moment. Generate that awareness, broad awareness of mental states external. Now, again, capture the internal mental state. That lustful state is there with the scenery, and infer all external mental states without discriminating between them. Think that they are all mental states, whether internal or external. Mental states happen simultaneously right at this moment. Infinite number of minds, each having a mental state. So no difference between internal or external now. It's all minds, mental states present, arising and passing away. Present everywhere, widespread. It's a natural phenomena. Realize, okay, this is natural. This is the nature. This is the nature. Infinite number of minds with each having a mental state. Now, focus on your one again. Focus to your heart. Okay, while thinking of that landscape or whatever you liked. Once again, identify lustful mind. Now, how did it arise? Think of the factors that caused it. The subtle factors like craving ignorance and the mental volitions of remembering and the mind itself. With the matter like whatever is there at the heart. Whatever matter is there at the heart. They combine together to generate this mental state now. Okay, next realize this mental state is not going to remain. If I change the volition and remember something else, this will vanish. And also it is momentarily disappearing and appearing due to the high-speed activity of the mind. Okay, realize or understand that it is also a natural phenomena. Mental states arise and mental states pass away due to this cause effect, nature. Not only here, externally, within all minds, same is happening. Same causes are driving those mental states, and they arise and they vanish. Now again address all infinite number of minds of living beings. Mental states arising right now, mental states passing away. None of the mental states remain. So keep contemplating on this arising and passing away of mental states. Some of them are lustful. Some of them are hostile right now. Some of the minds are distracted right now. In some minds, contracted state arise and pass away. All that variety you can contemplate with the understanding that this is the nature.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, Durja.
Sir, 8:40 our quiz will be started, sir.
Yes, okay. Right. So it's time for us to stop because of the quiz time. So we'll stop now. You can log on to Moodle quickly, and it will be sequential again. You can't go back. So finish one question at a time. Okay, we'll end. You can log on to Moodle and complete the quiz. 10 minutes it will be.